Hi, I'm Mimi.
And I'm Sharon, we're student content shapers.
Today we're sitting down and chatting to some senior staff members here at the University of Birmingham and the Guild of Students
About concerns and questions that parents and carers might have ahead of the new academic year.
Firstly, would you just like to introduce yourself for us?
Hello, I'm Professor Celia Greenway. I am the Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor of Student Engagement for the University.
So these are just some questions that are from parents and carers, just things that would help them support their student as they ease into university life. So firstly, what can new students expect from their first few weeks at the university?
So I think I'd really like to say first of all that we really enjoy welcoming new students to our community. The campus is a big, vibrant community. We understand that students might feel a bit lost at the beginning, but hopefully the beginning of the term is gradual. It's a gradual introduction to your subject, to your discipline. You're eager to study and you're eager to make friends, and we recognise that, and hopefully we help people ease into the university experience. We don't tell them everything on arrival. We tell them things throughout the first 6 weeks, and it's really important that those first 6 weeks are a good 6 weeks, and we're very aware of that.
And maybe you can touch on more academically, but what support is available to new students?
I suppose to be very reassuring that I'm a parent and my own child, I've only got one child and they came to Birmingham. So basically I've been where you've been. So I know how anxious you're feeling, and I recognise that this is a significant moment for both parties. And so we've thought very carefully based on my own experience. I've thought about what did my child experience while she was here, and when I came into a leadership position, I thought about the support that all people need when they arrive. Now, we've got something called a personal academic tutoring system, and every single student on arrival within the first week gets to know their personal tutor. Now, that personal academic tutor will stay with them throughout their time with us at Birmingham. And first of all, they'll meet people in a group, so they meet peers and they meet people they're going to be studying with, and then they'll meet their tutor individually. And that tutor meets them at key points during the year. And I think that's really important, because only your peers know the anxiety you get from doing assignments. So you've already made those ready connected friends who are going to be experiencing the same assignments as you. So that's useful. But also your tutor will be used to your subject, they'll be used to your assignments, and no question won't have been asked before. And actually what we're really trying to do is to make sure that a small problem doesn't become a big concern. So actually offering regular support rather than support when it's asked for helps prevent problems and prevent situations, and hopefully helps people feel confident that they're part of this community that we offer.
Yeah, definitely. I still remember the group meeting with our personal academic tutor, and I studied Russian in my first year, and the whole group was just Russian students. So we still talk and we all still know each other, and it's our little Russian group that we all know. And I think it's really nice in a way that you don't have to just make friends through social events outside of academics, that you can have a really close bond with your peers within your class, and having sort of a personal academic tutor group really helps that, I think. What exam support is available for students?
So I suppose the first thing to say is that we don't just do exams. So unlike school, there's a variety of assessment types. Yes, some courses will do more exams than others. So for example, if you're studying mathematics, you're much more likely to have an end of course exam. But if you're studying my subject, education, you might have only one or two the whole time you're here. So we do a range of assessments. And with exams in particular, we'll have past papers, past questions, class tests, things to help students gain their confidence. But also with assessments, we have a bank of essays. So students can look at previous essays and think, actually, I might do it in that style, or I might approach it in a different way. But the important thing is we offer a range of supports. And I think some students don't mind dropping into office hours. Other students would rather go to the library. Other students would rather log on and ask a bot for help. And that's fine. We cater for all of those different ways of preference of asking for help. And the Academic Skills Centre helps with you if you have a lab test, if you have an exam, Or for example, if you're preparing to do a presentation, they will help you with all of those aspects. They aren't just there for exam support.
And what can a first year look like for a new student?
So every year is super quick. I mean, I said I've been here since 2005 and there's a reason for that. And it's quick because it's full of activity. So the first 5 to 6 weeks, yes, you're settling in, but then you learn about your first assignment and you don't just study, you study a subject in depth, but you'll be doing lots of different modules, and modules are our units of learning. So we break learning up for people. You might learn about chemistry, but you will learn about different aspects of chemistry through the module system. We do cultural visits, we do assessments, we do presentations, we have seminars. It's not just lectures. And as the year progresses, we then move on to the summer part of the year where we have activities, and we do actually run a festival. We don't really run Glastonbury, but it's more of a cultural and intellectual festival and a preparation again for your child to leave here. So we have events that help children with their career building and that prepare them again for life beyond Birmingham.
What times roughly throughout the year can students expect to have assessments?
So I guess a lot depends on whether they're on a course with exams or with assessments. So the course that I run, for example, we don't have any exams at all actually, but if you're in mathematics or physics, you may have a large number of exams, but they will be spaced out. So you may have an exam period in the summer, but you might have some exams in January as well. It depends on the course, but we're not like an A-level course where everything is examined. So you should encounter a variety of assessments. But say you have an essay and it's set at the beginning of the term, you might have the assignment delivery in October, November, and then you might have the actual assignment in December. But we have something called a submission window in some cases where students can prepare for up to a couple of weeks before. But we also have something called office hours. And office hours are where students can access the academic on their programme or on their module, and they will help them with their particular assignment.
And just every lecturer I've met is so friendly in this. So every time you come up to them at the end of class and you say, well, I'm not sure, they just straight away come to my office hours, we'll talk about it then. And I think it's really reassuring to know that every single person at the university is invested and interested in your experience learning here. So I think that'd be reassuring for parents to know as well. And who else, other than maybe going to office hours, could students contact about issues on their course?
So they could contact their module lead, their programme lead, and I think most students, this is where student nomenclature, naming and our nomenclature is a bit funny. We say programme, but most students talk about their course. So whoever at the beginning of the year has been introduced as their programme lead, that's the person that runs their area of study. So they could go and talk to them. They could go and talk to their personal academic tutor. They could talk to a peer or a friend, because actually you won't be alone. So with the things that you're worried about your assignment, your peer will be experiencing those too.
And just one final question. What is your best advice for our parents and carers?
I think my big advice is don't stop being a parent or carer. So it's natural in these days of huge telecommunication and WhatsApp messaging to assume that you'll be in touch 24/7, the same way as you have been through A-levels, through college, etc., etc. But actually students lead different lives, and you might think, well, they're busy, they're at a seminar, they're at a lecture, or they could be partying, they could be at the guild, they could be doing something. I won't bother them. I would think if I haven't heard for a day or so, I would contact them, because actually you're in constant contact now. Why would that stop? So I would say don't stop being a parent. Get to know Birmingham, get to know the city. Don't so much think of it as losing a child, but gaining an experience yourself.
Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amy Church. I'm Head of Student Living, so I look after the Student Accommodation team. So that's the team that will help students find and book their room with us, and also the teams that will look after those residents while they're living with us.
We have a few questions here from parents and carers to help them better support their students as they come to the university. So my first question is, what can new students expect from their first weeks at the university?
So the first weeks at university are a really exciting time, but they're also a very busy time. So if students are moving into university accommodation, they'll have booked a time slot, they'll have completed their accommodation pass, and we recommend that they download the UniBuddy app before they get here, and that gives them a chance to start to meet people that they'll be living in the same area with, and also people that are on their course. So then they'll arrive in accommodation at the time they've booked, and they can meet their flatmates in person. And then there's lots of events provided both within accommodation and on main campus to support getting to know other people and finding out about everything that the university and the accommodation team has to offer.
And in terms of that, what sorts of support is available to new students?
So within accommodation, we have lots of support available because we know that the majority of the students living with us, this will be their first time living away from home. And as exciting as that is, that can also be quite daunting. So we have teams on site 24/7, 365 days a year. So if anyone wants to speak to a member of accommodation team, they can do that whenever they want. Each area in our villages has a dedicated customer service manager, so there's a manager that they can go and speak to about any issues or concerns that they have. We also have what's called the Student Mentor Team, which is a guild-led service provided within accommodation, and it's a peer-to-peer mentoring service. And they are there to give advice and support on a variety of topics that students might want to talk about. So if they're struggling to maybe make friends in their flat, or if they want to talk a bit about how best to budget their money to see them through the month, or they want to talk a bit through about preparing for exams, that group of students is there available for them year round. They will introduce themselves at the beginning of the year because they will come around to every single flat and do what's called a flat chat. It's a chance for students living together in a flat to get to know each other a bit better and set a few ground rules about how they want to live together so that everyone's got a comfortable shared space to live in.
What would you say to students who perhaps their children don't find the accommodation suitable for them? Maybe they come and they don't like something there. How would you advise or encourage parents to support their children in that space?
I think I'd say encourage them to come and talk to us themselves. So we will have heard every query that your child could possibly have in regards to their accommodation, and we will be able to help. So if there's something wrong, or say if there's a leaking tap and they don't quite know where to go, tell them to come and speak to us. If they're uncomfortable perhaps coming to the reception desks or speaking to a manager in person, we have online resources. So we have an online portal and an online help desk where students can reach out to us.
Perfect. What sorts of events are available in the accommodations to help students make friends?
So we have lots of events around making friends, and those last throughout the entire year. So to begin with, on your first few nights, there'll be pizza parties in all of the accommodation. So you can either attend with your flatmates or come down by yourself, and you'll meet lots of other people in the same position as you are. There's speed friending events put on, events specifically for international students, plenty for people to get involved in. And like I said, the hall reps will run events for students in our accommodation year round. And we also run something called active residences. It's free for students living with us, and it's a chance to engage in sporting activity. So everything from yoga and Pilates all the way through to swimming lessons, football, and even wheelchair basketball is available for free.
This might tie into a question I asked before, but generally, what should a parent do if their child is struggling?
So I think the most important thing for a parent to do if their child is struggling is to engage with them and encourage them to reach out to us. Like I said before, there won't be a problem or an issue that we haven't heard about before, and we have teams in place ready to support and to provide advice and guidance. So the most important thing is to realise that there's no taboo around reaching out for that support. We provide it because we know that people do need that level of support.
And what does the first year look like for a new student in accommodations?
So the first year, I think, very, very exciting. As others have said, it will go very quickly. Within accommodation, like I said, the events that we put on are year round. So there is always something that you can do in accommodation. So say if you are an international student and you're staying with us over the Christmas break, there will still be events for you to attend and places for you to go and meet other students who are staying in our accommodation. The thing I would say is there is so much going on, you need to build some rest time into all of those activities, so don't try and do everything all at once. Make sure that you're taking a bit of downtime. We've got very comfy beds in our accommodation, take some naps while you get the chance.
And finally, what's your best advice to our parents and carers?
So my best advice is around, we would like you to encourage your son or daughter to come to us if they've got a problem and to do that themselves. They are living away from home for the first time, so that can be intimidating, but we like to think of our accommodation as a springboard for them. So they are living alone, but they've got a lot of support around them, and that's a chance for them to develop those skills that they will need when they move on to live in private rented accommodation further on through their university career and once they've left university. So just encourage them to reach out. Like I said, we have teams on site 24/7, no question too small for us.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Hiya, I'm Drew Linforth, the Assistant Director of Student Services, responsible for student wellbeing, mental health and some of the partnership activity that we do to support students at the university.
So these are some questions from parents
Okay.
that they would like to know about their children being in the uni for the first year, in the first few weeks. So my first question is, what events are available to help students make friends?
I mean, from the arrivals weekend onwards, there are so many different events and different opportunities to meet new people and make friends for our new students. So we'll have a welcome marquee based in the centre of the Green Heart. There'll be lots of new students. There's loads of different activities you can get involved with. You can come down with your new group of flatmates or on your own, and there'll always be someone there to provide a bit of a helping hand, meet new people. The Guild of Students, for example, has loads of societies that will also be available to students as well. And actually we continue that through the first few weeks. So we have a What's On page, a student events page that students can take advantage of all the way through the academic year.
And what can a parent do if they realize that their child is struggling?
Well, I think there's a couple of different things. The first one is for parents and carers to familiarise themselves with the support that's available to students. That's all accessible publicly on our website. Simply Google Wellbeing at the University of Birmingham, and all the services that will come up are accessible to all of our students. If they have, and I think the important thing is to say is to encourage the student to access it themselves. If they do have continuing concerns, or you have continuing concerns as a parent, you can contact the university. We are really restricted in what information we're able to provide without the consent of the student. But we certainly talk parents through the types of systems that we work with to support students and give some reassurance on actions that may or may not be taken for if they have any concerns.
Being an international student myself and coming from a country where asking for help is not very popular, what would you say to students and parents who come from countries like I do? Like, how would you encourage them and motivate them to actually go seek for help? Because it's not popular where they come from.
Sure, that's a really great question. I would say a couple of different things. The first one is that all of our services and support at the university is completely non-judgmental. So the likelihood is whatever a student brings to us, we've seen it and supported it before, and so not to feel worried that your concern or worry is new and it won't be taken seriously, and that goes for no matter how big the concern is or how little it might seem. The second one is that all of our services, unless there's some significant issue, are completely confidential. So you're going to be having conversations with individuals who are trained professionals who are not going to provide that information anywhere else unless they're really worried, and that is in very, very rare instances.
We've heard about how support is like for students in accommodation. Can you speak to how support is like for students outside campus?
That's a really good question. So we have obviously a large proportion of our new students do live in our accommodation, but we know that we have students who study in lots of different ways and engage with the university in lots of different ways. So for commuter students, so students who are travelling from the local-ish region, we'll have loads of commuter student events where you'll be able to meet other students who do exactly the same. Often they'll be on your course or in your school or in your wider faculty. And we also have students who are distance learners who might not actually be coming onto campus during that first week. There'll be lots of opportunity to engage with other students too. We take a really diverse approach to the way that we deliver our services. So as well as obviously You Be Heard, which is accessible globally, we also recognise that students might not be able to come to campus to receive some of the support in person. So we link in really closely with community-based services as well. And actually, if a student kind of puts their hand up and says, I need a bit of support, we will make an assessment on what that support is best likely to be for you. And that might include services that are more local to home. So we have a range of contacts and partnerships to support students if they're not necessarily on campus in the same way as an undergraduate living in our university halls.
Can you share an overview of accessibility at the University of Birmingham?
Yeah, so we take accessibility and inclusion really, really seriously at the university. We're continually moving to enhance and improve accessibility on our campus. And where we have new students starting with us this September who have mental health diagnosis, disability or other learning need or neurodiversity, we would really encourage them to register if they haven't done so already with our Student Disability Service, where we can develop reasonable adjustment plans to ensure that that's the case within studies.
And finally, what's your best advice to our parents and carers?
Best advice for parents and carers, I think, is to maintain contact with all new students. I think there's a tendency to think that everything's probably okay when you haven't heard from someone, and we really encourage actually all of our students to maintain that external support network, that familial or caring support network around them. Because actually what we see is that a student's successful journey at the university is often part of a wider partnership and a support network, not just necessarily services at the university. So stay in touch, ask questions, you're very welcome to of students, and most of the time they'll tell you.
Very useful information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself for us?
Well, yeah, my name's Syed, and I'm the Guild of Students President. So Guild of Students is the University of Birmingham's student union.
Well, I've just got some questions here that are aimed to help parents and carers support their student as they make the progression into university. So what can new students expect from their first few weeks at the university?
I could, explain it to you from my student experience. So I'm an international student. So my first few weeks in the university were amazing. So we had like first week of induction, and that's one of a more memorable life, the week of my whole university. So I got to meet like a lot of new friends, and we got introduced to a whole modules and professors. And later on we had like a lot of society events from both the university and the guild. And we could expect a lot of society events, fairs, where it's like you could get to meet other students, and it's a whole dynamic culture.
Yes. And perhaps you can touch on the support from the guild that's available to new students.
Yeah, so from the guild we have a lot of various supports available. So first we have the guild advice, where the students could come with whatever support they need, and the guild's ready to advise them on any matter. And then we have the Wellbeing support. We have an officer for that who interviews a lot of students, and her role is basically to support the students in their well-beings. And then you also have the community wardens, and they are there available every time for the students.
The next few questions are just some specific topics that parents and carers have suggested.
Mm-hmm.
So what events are available to help new students make friends?
You mean during the welcome week or across the whole year?
Both, I suggest.
Oh, well, there are a lot of events, both from the university and the guild side. If you see from the guild side, we have 300 plus societies which the students can engage and participate in. And these societies are just not, like very broad. Like it's actually very broad, like even their faith, sports, and whatever hobbies you are interested in. So these societies host like events all year round, and that's from the guild side. And then you have from the university side, you have like career fairs, and then you also have like the UOB Extra, which has just come recently. And so it's just before the summertime, so the students could chill, relax, just after the examinations before they go back home. So it's spread out variously.
Yeah. And what do you guys, in terms of the guild, what do the guild have planned for Welcome Week? What sort of events? Or is this top secret knowledge?
No, it's not top secret, but we do have like a lot of events planned. So it's surprising because we have like something called as speed dating, and then we have like international mixers coming up, and we also have like other few activities planned out for the whole Freshers Week, and this time it's going to be all new because we're focusing on more student experience and engagement.
Okay. And what exam support is available?
Exam support is available from both the university and the Guild side. I'll talk from the Guild side. So if you go on Guild's web page, right, so you have a lot of tips on how you can study and how you can spread your whole timetable. And we also have guidance on how you could fill the extenuating circumstances forms, so which could help you during your exams. If you've fallen sick or there are some issues and you've not done the exam well, we could advise you how you could get through that. And we also like actively post on social media channels on how you could take care of your well-being while you're studying. So that helps all the students.
Definitely. What could parents and carers do to help their student if they are struggling?
Well, I could say that the university and the Guild provides a lot of support network, and we would want the parents to basically encourage the students to approach us, because the communication is very important. We wouldn't know what's happening in a student's life unless they come and approach to us, and that's when we can give them 100% support.
And perhaps for this next question, you could talk about your personal experience, but what does the first year look like for new students?
Well, the first year is pretty amazing. The first few weeks, a lot of socializing events hosted by the university and the Guild again. And then you have the induction program from the modules, where your module leads and your program leads, they come and they talk to you about the whole structure. That's what we were told about. So we have 1 week where a whole structure of the program was given, like information were given to us about how it works. And then later, it just like, because I got part in a lot of societies, so I had to go to like various events. I would want the students to get in part of the societies because that helps them, engage with other students, and it would really help them a lot. And especially when it comes to networking, socializing, it really helped them.
I mean, definitely for me, societies have been a massive part. I've started, like, one of my big things to say is like, join a society, try something new. I tried rugby for the first ever time, and I love it. And like so many of my close friends, that's not necessarily Guild Society.
We also offer like, if whatever you're interested in and there's no society there, you could open your own.
Yeah.
And you just have to come up to us and be like, I'm interested in this, I would want a society, so we could help do that for you.
It's amazing. It's an amazing part of being at university that we have the opportunity to do that. But maybe for you personally, being an international student, how do you think your experience in your first year is maybe different to home students? Is there any advice that you would want to give to for parents of international students? Or
I would say that they wouldn't have to worry about their kids coming up and getting adapted to this whole culture, because the university, they provide a lot of support. I have not felt that I'm away from home, because the university is providing me that kind of support. And it's not just the university, it's also from the Guild of Students and the societies. I've never felt like I'm away from home. Yep. So I think I would say the parents that they don't have to worry about that.
And finally, what is your best advice to our parents and carers?
Well, I'm too young to say that, but I would say that there is no such thing as silly questions, and I would want them to encourage the students to engage and reach out to us. And also it's that their encouragement and their support is very valuable to us, and I would say them to keep the open communication line every time.